there's truly so much like tennis going on right now. I wish I could have like just done an episode every single day for you guys, just because how much tennis that is going on right now, but that's simply not possible. So I'm really hoping to use just this short 20 minutes with you guys, 15 to 20 minutes with you guys to recap all the actions this week. Welcome, tennis fans, to Tennis Traverse, Exploring the Game, the podcast that delves into the heart of the tennis world. I'm your host, Ivy Zhang, and in today's episode, I want to talk about the Billie Jean King Cup as well as the ATP Finals. So yeah, let's get right into it. I want to start off by talking about the Billie Jean Cup and what it is, because I feel like it's something that we don't see as often compared to just like regular tournaments. So the Billie Jean Cup is a tournament where the different countries sort of compete against each other, and Billie Jean King Cup is basically the women version of that, and the men's version of that is the Davis Cup. So this year they actually changed the format a little bit because they both take place in the same area, sort of. They both take place in Spain, Malaga, I think, and however, they don't use the same stadium, so the Davis Cup actually uses like the proper stadium, but the Billie Jean King Cup uses like a venue that they created temporarily, but it's like in the parking lot, and it's not as sort of grand and big as the Davis Cup. But note that this is the first year of them trying to combine these two tournaments, and I really think it's a great idea because it sort of gives it like a World Cup like feel, just because you can like watch, it's basically like a tennis wonderland because you get to watch the women's tennis competing and the men's competing within the same area, which is really cool to me. But I think, of course, this is the first year, so there's obviously just some like stuff that they have to adjust after this tournament ends because it's their first time trying to give a go at it. But I think next time it's really important to just give these two tournaments the same everything, because Swiatek mentioned in her press conferences that for her, like, the places where the players dine and stuff, like to do their everyday activities to the venue, it's actually a 10-minute walk. So for example, if you guys playing a match and she want to restring her racket, it's sort of hard to do that because it's a 10-minute walk and it won't be really realistic. But the men's side for the Davis Cup, it's really close. So I think that's something that the venue definitely have to work on. But apart from that, I think it's just a step in the right direction to combine these two tournaments. If I was in Malaga, I would definitely go and watch that tournament. And yeah, so I want to talk about the format more, about like just in terms of like elimination. So this is the Billie Jean King Cup finals. So back in the season, they played a tournament where all of the teams fought for a spot in the finals, and now we have our finals teams. So let me just read you guys the finals teams. So we have Canada, Germany, Great Britain, Australia, Slovakia, USA, Spain, Poland, Czechia, Japan, Romania, and Italy. So these are all the teams that qualified for the finals, and I want to talk one match at a time first. So I want to first talk about Germany versus Great Britain. So this was a first round match. That means that these two teams play. Whoever wins, they play Canada, who had a bye in the first round. So Great Britain beat Germany with a score of 2-0. I think I want to talk mostly about Emma Raducanu and Katie Boulter's form. I think Katie Boulter's match against Lara Sigmund is a match that's sort of competitive, and I think Sigmund, although I feel like she's mostly known, in my opinion, for her doubles sort of play, she's also like a great singles player. But I think this match just shows how much of like a great form Katie Boulter was in, because Katie was just playing phenomenal. She beat Sigmund with a score of 6-1 and 6-2. And if you guys want to watch the highlights, I will be leaving a link to the finals. And if you guys click on the website, there's and you click into their individual matches, there's a play button with like highlights you guys can watch. When you have it, you'll know what I'm talking about. But yeah. And Emma Raducanu, I feel like we haven't seen her play a lot, and I feel like this is her sort of first season that she's like officially back, but I feel like she played well. She obviously secured a win for Great Britain, and with her win, they got to move on to the second round where they will face Canada. So I think their second round chances against Canada, which is also the quarterfinals, is pretty interesting. We really don't know who's gonna play for Canada, but we do know that Canada have Leylah Fernandez, Marino, Stachuk, and Dabrowski. So I think Dabrowski's definitely gonna play doubles, and I think Leylah is going to be first seed. And we know that Dabrowski's an amazing doubles player, so I feel like Great Britain really doesn't have like that much of a chance, but it's going to be an entertaining match because Canada have just a lot of great players in terms of singles and doubles. And now I want to talk about another round one match, which is between Slovakia and the USA. So this USA team wasn't, I feel like, strong. So the USA team had Danielle Collins, Peyton Stearns, Ashlyn Kruger, Taylor Townsend, and Caroline Dolehide. So as you can see, this USA team isn't strong, but I think Slovakia gave it their all. They had Rebecca Shremkova, Anna Kornia Schmidlova, and just a lot of players that are just, I feel like, really want to win for their country. Like the USA could have gotten Coco Gauff, Jessica Pegula, even Madison Keys. However, we know that it's sort of hard, especially for Coco Gauff and Pegula, who played in the finals. But if you really look at the scoreline, Slovakia won with a score of 2-1. So Taylor Townsend won her singles match. Danielle Collins lost her singles match. To be honest, not that much of a surprise because Collins has not been playing good, even though she did announce that she will be continuing her tennis. I still just thought that she was completely out of it. She seemed a little bit tense, and she isn't as loose as I feel like she normally is. So yeah, and I mostly want to talk about the double because I really enjoyed the doubles match. It was between Frankakova, sorry if I'm like mispronouncing the name, and Mihalikova versus Kruger and Taylor Townsend. So it was really interesting because they played a 10-point tiebreaker for the deciding set, and they were up 9-2, I believe, and Kruger and Townsend all the way caught up to 9-8, and then Mihalikova and Frankakova just finished that last point. But I think, to be honest, interesting choice for Kruger to be paired with Taylor Townsend. I feel like Townsend and Dolehide would be a better pairing just because Dolehide also played in the doubles WTA finals, which is, in my opinion, shows that she's like a better tennis player, doubles player, but obviously we don't know. It's like doubles, it can be anything. Maybe they just don't have good chemistry between Dolehide and Townsend, but it is what it is. And I feel like if USA really want to win these matches, they really have to just sometimes give it their best, persuade their best players to join. Like if Coco Gauff and Jessica Pegula join, then I feel like beating Slovakia will be a much easier thing to do. And then I want to talk about Spain versus Poland. So the match I want to talk about mostly is between Świątek and Paula Badosa. I think this is the matchup that I looked forward to the most out of the entire round one. So Świątek did say after the match that she feel like more of herself, and she was able to swing the balls, and she feel the ball as better than when she was at the WTA finals, because she took a break after the US Open, and she really hasn't taken a break. We've never seen Świątek take a break before, and to see her play the WTA finals was sort of interesting because we didn't know what she looks like after taking a break. But I think even to the best players, if you haven't played like professional matches in a long time, your form still shows, and it's just not as good as if you're consecutively playing and winning matches. But I think Świątek is finding her rhythm now, and I think she expressed some frustration because the season is almost ended and she finally found her form. So it could be really frustrating because when a player is seeing their chance to maybe win more titles and just win more matches, however, unfortunately, the season is at an end, is just, yeah, kind of really sad. But I mean, we really don't know what Australia is going to bring for her, and I'm really interesting to see because I feel like Australia, we could really see her partnership with Wim Fissette come more into play. So yeah. And then I really want to talk about this next round one match, which I think is such an interesting round, so like pairing, even though I feel like both of these teams obviously aren't the favorite to win. So we have Japan versus Romania, with Japan coming out with a score of 2-1. So Shibahara is such an amazing player. She beat Jacqueline Christian, who is also an amazing like singles player, but Shibahara played amazingly well. She just, to beat Jacqueline Christian as someone that played doubles before, is just amazing. And obviously we have a really reliable doubles pairing, which is Aoyama and Huzumi, who won the Tokyo tournament as a doubles pair. So I really like this Japan team. Although Naomi Osaka was going to play for the Japan team, however, she suffered a back injury, so she had to withdraw from all her tournaments after she withdrew from her match against Coco Gauff in Beijing. But I feel like this Japan team did really well to beat Romania, and I really think that there's more to go in the career of Shibahara, especially singles. So yeah, and now I want to talk about some round 2 matches. There's some round 2 matches that are already done. So the first one being Japan versus Italy. So Italy got a bye, so they got to compete against the winners between Japan and Romania. And as I said before, Japan came out on top. So Shibahara, again, an amazing player, actually beat Kochierto with a score of 3-6, 6-4, 6-4. Again, amazing match. Absolutely. I feel like you guys should watch Shibahara play. She's playing incredible. And then Paulini beating Uchijima is just not that big of a surprise to me because Paulini's just Paulini. She's had an amazing season, and we just should never underestimate her. And I feel like she's also really good at sealing victories against players that are just not as good as her. I feel like a lot of players may have a high chance of getting beat by players who are lower ranked than them, but I feel like Paulini's is at a place where she can use her ranking to be confident in herself and just secure her place, but at the same time she's also challenging players who are ranked higher than her. And then I thought that the match between Arani Paulini versus Aoyama and Huzumi was going to be a really entertaining one, just because it's a brilliant doubles pairing for both of them. But obviously Arani and Paulini played in the WTA finals, and they came out on top with a score of 6-3 and 6-4. I feel like this Italy team really have a good chance of winning. And before, I know I'm jumping a lot, but before I feel like I'm not really that into these kind of tournaments. It just seems like sort of exhibition-like almost, but this time when they combined the two tournaments, I feel like it really made me invest, and I'm not gonna lie, I think Rafa announcing his retirement also made me more invested. But I think it's just a great tournament. If you guys feel like, oh, we only have the ATP finals to watch, don't forget we have Rafa playing Tuesday, and we have so much good stuff coming out, and these matches are just some high quality matches. And now we have a matchup that's still going on, which is Poland versus Czechia. So it's really interesting because Czechia won their first match, and so they have a 1-0 lead, and Iga Świątek is currently playing Linda Noskova, which is really interesting because Noskova actually beat Świątek in Australia, and that was just completely out of the blue. I didn't know what happened, but Noskova was just playing super good, super great. She was super in form, and after Iga beat Danielle Collins in the second round, I thought she's going to be in form since she has had a good chance of winning the title, but Noskova just came around and just completely outplayed her in that third set. So I feel like this matchup is really interesting. When I last checked, Iga was leading 4-2, but now Iga Noskova actually broke and is about to hold, so she's about to lead 5-4. So really interesting, because if Noskova wins this match, then Czechia will automatically win and advance. So yeah, that's all for the other two matches, Canada and Great Britain. As I said, I think Canada have a great chance of winning, and Australia versus Slovakia. For Australia, I'm not really sure who's going to play first singles, just because I feel like they have a lot of great players, such as Tomanovic. They also have Saville and Perez for the doubles pairing, so also another strong team. So I really want to see them play against Slovakia. But again, I don't really know who's going to win that. But that's all for the Billie Jean King Cup. I think my main takeaway is, if you just feel like you don't like these sort of events, please just give it a chance, watch it. I feel like a lot of the players they really want to win, and I think this is a contrast with the ATP Finals, which is a perfect lead-in to what I want to talk about, which is, because this is the finals and they're playing like single elimination, every player is super tense and they really want to win. Compared to the ATP Finals, where it was like round robin at first, when you lose, you still have a chance of winning, and there's like so much calculation that I feel like sometimes it's not about who is the best players, but just about like, obviously it's still about like the best players advancing, but you can still win even if you're not the best player, which just doesn't really work that way in the Billie Jean King Cup. And I really like this format. I feel like, obviously, if the ATP Finals and the WTA Finals were to do single elimination, it will be just such a quick tournament. But I still think single elimination brings so much. It brings like the intensity, it brings the stress, it just makes every match such a good match to watch. So yeah. And I feel like, especially because we have single elimination and the ATP Cup that's going on at the same time, if we compare them side to side, we could see that there's so much more better matches that came out from single elimination. I think the example I want to point out is Townsend and Kruger losing the deciding tiebreak 8-10. Think about it. They were down 2-9, and then they were all the way coming back to 8-9. So think about how much like the crowd is going in, because they know that if Townsend and Kruger lost, then the USA team would have like completely get eliminated out of the tournament. On the other hand, if Sinner, for example, obviously he didn't, but for example, Sinner loses like a round match, he still have a chance of advancing and making it far, maybe even winning the tournament, which is just, I feel like, a contrast that I would just like to point out. And before, I really liked round robin, because I thought that you get time for the players to sort of ease into their form, and just, even if they lost, if they're a good player, they can still, move on. But I think just playing single elimination is, first of all, less stress, but less like physical stress, I feel like, on the body. So yeah, okay. I want to talk about the ATP Finals now. I think I left off just briefly analyzing the groups, but there's some matches that I really want to highlight. And I also will be linking the ATP Finals the ATP Finals website. So if you guys want to watch that, feel free to watch it, like all the highlights and stuff. So yeah, and I want to start off by talking about the first group, which is Jannik Sinner, de Minaur, Fritz, and Medvedev. So Medvedev, just had a meltdown. And to be honest, I was talking about this with my mom. I couldn't really blame him because Fritz hit 2 lucky shots and got his 2 break points conversions, which made him win the game. But at the same time, not taking anything away from Fritz, Fritz played amazing. So I'm just highlighting some matches that I want to talk about in this group. And I also want to talk about Sinner versus Medvedev. And I just want to talk about Medvedev because I feel like Medvedev is someone that we expected so much of, but we really didn't get that much of him at all this season. I feel like we got actually just really less of him. We didn't get that much, and I think it could be because that obviously he's aging, but I feel like his serve just isn't like a big power anymore. So I'm really sort of interested to see how he's gonna do in the next season because I don't think he's going to reach the level he was before. So yeah, okay. And then in the other group, which is Carlos Alcaraz, Casper Ruud, Zverev, and Rublev, I want to highlight Zverev's form because Zverev's been playing incredibly well. And I feel like this condition really suit him, especially after his Paris win. I feel like he came in with a lot of confidence. And then in terms of Alcaraz, even though he lost in the group stage, we really don't know because he's having a cold. He's not feeling well physically, and you could tell by the way he's acting. So even though Casper, and I am a Casper Ruud fan, but when Casper Ruud beat Alcaraz, I was like, okay, we know that it isn't Alcaraz's best performance. So I'm not reading that much into this result, and I'm really interested to see what's going to happen. I feel like just after, and just because it doesn't make sense because this is at the end, and I feel like Alcaraz he's clearly compromised, and Australia is just going to be a completely different scenes. So I want to now talk about the semifinals, which is actually taking place right now. So Fritz actually surprised me and beat Zverev. I did not expect this to happen because Zverev, he's playing super well, as I said. I feel like before I thought Zverev and Sinner were the 2 people who had a chance of winning. Like Zverev's the only person who had a chance of challenging Sinner, but Taylor Fritz was playing really well, I have to admit. But I feel like the final tiebreak really showed that Zverev sometimes lack something when he plays against, like, in those crucial moments. And I feel like Fritz had more practice this season of playing at important moments. So yeah, okay. I also want to talk about the match that's going on right now, which is Jannik Sinner versus Casper Ruud. Jannik Sinner won the first set 6-1, and now it's 2-2 in the second, but Sinner's gonna win. So for the final, Sinner and Zverev, which is a replay of the US Open match, my only hope is for Fritz to just give it a fight and maybe drag it to a deciding set, because I really don't see him as a threat to Sinner. The only person I do see as a threat is Zverev, but Zverev lost to Fritz. So yeah, I really hope Fritz can just give Sinner a tough one to work with, and hopefully it will be like a great watch for us. So yeah, okay. That's all for today's episode. I really hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys haven't already, please follow all of my social medias. That is Instagram and Twitter. You'll be seeing at Tennis Traverse. That is at Tennis Traverse. And if you're listening on Spotify, please make sure to give my show a rating. And if you're listening on YouTube, comment, like, and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot. And if you guys just want to reach out, feel free to do so. I have my link tree linked down below, so if you guys want to just drop a comment, whatever, please feel free to do so. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.